Hi, everyone. For those of you who want to sit down, if you don't mind taking your seat now, that'll be great. I'll just wait a minute while people are taking their seats, please. Okay. My name is Meira Blaustein. I'm the co-founder and executive director of the Woodstock Film Festival, which is now entering its 26th year. Thank you. How many of you have attended at least one film festival? Show of hands, please. Pretty good. Not everybody, so there's still time. Next film festival is going to be October 15th to 19th in Woodstock and surrounding areas. And now that I'm here for this event, it may also be right here. Alex, what do you think? Yeah, okay, I think so. So the Woodstock Film Festival, for those of you who don't know, is a not-for-profit organization. And what you may know about not-for-profit organizations is that they are tax deductible for those who make donations. And this is a large part of our budget, is support from individuals and companies. So for those of you who are attending here, whether you as an individual or an owner of a company, if you'll be so inclined, we would be very thankful and would love it if you could contribute either as a private donation or as a corporate sponsorship. And also, very recently, we just started offering a membership. And the membership for the Woodstock Film Festival covers you for the festival, as well as the various year-round events that we hold. And there's so many of them, screenings and workshops and panels and events like this one. And you will be in the know, and you will have first dibs, and you'll have all kind of perks. So check us out on our website and see what kind of membership opportunities we have to offer. And one more thing, I guess, is that March 2nd is the Academy Awards. This year, the Woodstock Film Festival showed 17 films that are now nominated for an Academy Award, which is definitely a record. And that's across different categories, from animation shorts to feature narratives. So we will have many films and people to cheer. And our Oscar party on March 2nd is going to be at Assembly in Kingston, in Uptown Kingston, and there are still tickets. If you want to join us, it will be a really fun event. Lots of food and drinks and entertainment and us and the Oscars. What else do we need? And a good night out. So now I just really want to thank, first of all, Cobalt Stages. This is such a treat to be here. Thank you for everything that you guys have done and prepped for us. It's really, really nice. Thank you. I want to thank our staff, Teresa and Cynthia and Evan, Katie, and everyone who's here. Thank you. And of course, all of you, the Hudson Valley. You know, when the Woodstock Film Festival first began in 2000, there was no film production up here. Like nobody, nothing. And whoever was living here that was making films, they would go make them elsewhere. And lo and behold, now there's so much production going on here that it's really exciting. And tell your friends and encourage them to move up here and work here and live here and let this community continue to grow and support each other, which is really important. So now I think I'm going to get into what we're going to do here this afternoon. We have two session speakers. And I will start with the first one. Nick Quested, who I've known for many years, is a filmmaker, a documentary filmmaker, as well as commercials and music videos. He also owns one of the biggest post-production houses in New York City. Until recently, he had 60 employees. He's going to talk about that. And his recent film, 64 Days, shown at the Woodstock Film Festival this past year. And it's a film that he embedded himself with the Proud Boys. And so it happened also that he was in the Capitol on January 6th. And Nick was also, okay, never mind. All right. Not going to talk about it anymore. But he's great and brave. And so I would like to bring Nick Quested up here.
Thank you. Yep, we were there on the steps of the Capitol, but apparently what we experienced wasn't true. Yeah, I don't know. We're in difficult times at the moment, and socially, politically, and professionally. And I think what we're sitting in here right now is actually really the future of filmmaking. We've recently made, I know we've done like 5 videos. I've made a lot of videos. I've made videos for pretty much every major hip hop artist there are. And we pivoted because the budgets have been so low that we've been asked to create the type of imagery that would cost millions of dollars, and we've been turning to set extensions with VFX. We've been turning to AI. We've been turning to all sorts of ways to create imagery that before was just too expensive. So this is really this is a big green screen. We haven't been shooting on quite this big, but because you only need to cut you only need to be able to cut them out. That's it. So over there, but if you move the camera, it's different. So like we put tracking marks, and we've been tracking backgrounds in, and it's been fun. It's an interesting new challenge, and you still need hair and makeup, and you still need wardrobe. But art department is rapidly changing for us. What about the post-production business? Post-production business is like a kind of interesting at the moment. Like we've faced some very adverse business conditions recently. I'd say there's holistically probably a third less production than there was in 1919. Like if you pull permits, if you talk about how many hours there are, union hours. We're a union shop for sound. There's various reasons for that. The fact that you can do a lot of this stuff at home yourself now, which is very handy, like for independent features and for documentaries. You can set it yourself up at home. You can do small shared storage projects. You can do a lot of stuff. You can make the bulk of the editing tasks can be done at home now if you have a little bit of computer understanding. Bigger shows need 100% reliability, so they still come to us. We provide large shared storage solutions for shows from Severance to, what else are we doing at the moment? We just did Severance, Godfather of Harlem. They have 8 or 9 editors at one time working. We do Palm Royale. We do a lot of stuff with Apple. So they still need large, highly reliable, networked systems. You have maybe 2 or 3 editors, 3 or 4 assistants, then you've got the VFX crew, then you've got the sound crew that's tapping in, but you can see the, I think, I don't know if this is public knowledge, but I'll share it now. Harbour is exiting the episodic and high-end scripted business, so that's one competitor out, and it leaves us with 3 or 4 large post houses in New York. You've got Company 3, you've got us, you've got Post Factory, you've got Postworks, and so you're just gonna. I don't know. My business model is like last man standing, which I don't know is a great way to go. But what else do you want me to talk about, Moira? Yeah, we've had to make some staff reductions. We've moved to a sort of flexible working scenario where people work a 40-hour week over however they want to work it. So a lot of people take Fridays or Mondays off, and then we just sort of schedule around that. We've had some staff contractions. But we're starting to see, post-production is also the last part of the value chain. So you are very much, feeling the effects of the strike, the various strikes that happened last year. And the studios very much took advantage of the strikes to, force majeure a lot of producers out of their deals. And in the end, the strike was just bad all round. I don't think anyone got what they wanted out of it. I mean, some people claim victory, but I don't think anything. That was a pretty Pyrrhic victory to me. But we do see some uplift in the branded content space. You're starting to see branded content emerging on streamer platforms because they want cheaper content. And brands are prepared to pay for all sorts of stuff. And you're starting to see it pop out, whereas you used to it was an anathema for broadcasters and streamers to present branded content. Now they're picking up and showing it. And so you see these are almost long form commercials for the product, tucked away as as a documentary. And you can see that as well with the the authorized biographies that people are making now. These are not really documentaries. These are just EPKs that have been expanded to an hour and a half long. So there's a little bit of an uplift in that. There's the commercial market is the high end of the commercial market seems to be challenging, but people still need to sell things, so there will always be commercials. But the budgets are a little smaller, but there's still a way there. And production techniques are now creating efficiencies that never existed before. Before you needed to shoot on film, you needed to edit on film, you need to be able to learn how to make a print, you need to be able to, and then make it into negative, and then you need to be able to, work out how to, distribute that print. Now you can make really high quality image on your phone. Even when I was on the steps of the Capitol, half of the shots that I made were with my phone. And it also is, from a documentary perspective, it's a very different scenario, because if you take your phone and do that, people's behavior doesn't really change. People's behavior doesn't change when the phone comes out. But they do if you put a big camera up like that. Now people are sitting up straight, they're looking at you, they're aware of you. And we've used this technique a lot. Like, we made a film called Blood on the Wall, where we followed the caravan from Guatemala all the way to Tijuana, and we were with the caravan, we slept with the caravan, we walked with the caravan. We didn't eat with the caravan because we felt that we would, the food resources were pretty scarce in certain circumstances. But you could take your camera out, and we would give cameras to different groups that we were following, and they could, we would teach them how to make, first of all, don't hold it like that, hold it like that. And then, just, film what you're filming, because if you're really trying to get to the essence of what documentary is, which is, what is actually happening without anyone changing their behavior, then it's very, useful. And that's, if people want to make films nowadays, then you could make films with your phone. Like, if people ask you how to get in the documentary business, well, just go and shoot. Like, go and shoot and edit, and then see if the scene works. And then if you've got a good story, you just keep on going. Because I think that, we're sort of at this inflection point, even in the documentary world. Like, you look at what happened at Sundance. Like, Gita's film Perfect Neighbor sells. That's great. It sells to Netflix, but it was pretty sparse apart from that. But so we're probably approaching, a world where you're not going to define your success by whether you sell your film or not. You're going to, what is the goal of the documentary? To provoke a conversation, to create awareness about what your film is. You're going to find alternative forms of distribution. Film festivals are super important for that, because they bring communities into the screening room, and then you get to, hopefully, the subject resonates with the audience, and you keep the conversation going, which is, people are going to have to just change their goals about what they are, because, this is basically an oligarch. There's 8 10, 12 buyers at the moment, ish. Maybe a bit more, maybe a bit less, depends what your thing is. And is your goal really to, you can't define your self-worth by how much your film is worth. That's not a viable thing to do. So films used to be made by smaller groups of people that used to go on for much longer. The Meisels used to work as a 2-person team. One, Albert would shoot, and then I've forgotten what the other brother was called. What's that? Yeah, sorry? David. They would work as a 2-man team. That's how I started making films. Sound man and camera guy. And then, and they made incredible films. The same, Fred Wiseman too. Very small teams working for a long period of time. It wasn't, people would scratch the money together to get to buy film, to develop film, to, if you go and look at Irwin Young's, God rest Irwin, but Irwin made probably more money on the paintings that he took from artists that were making documentaries and couldn't afford to process film than he ever did taking cash from people. Like there was like all sorts of, Basquiat's and herrings on his wall. Like, it was really quite impressive to see doo-wop back in the day. I'm surprised no one pinched it at the end, frankly. I know, that's sort of, what else should we talk about? Yeah, we'll have some questions. I called them. I find, a lot of times that it is just, I had a friend who got me his number, and we just turned up, and Enrique was like a very personable fellow generally. I think he's very different from the other Proud Boys. I think he's very political and very calculating about how he uses the Proud Boys as a tool for his self-promotion. And so he just said, yeah, come down. And when I hang out with those type of guys, I've been in all sorts of difficult parts of the world. So I've been in Iraq, I've been in Syria, we've been in Afghanistan, Nicaragua, Venezuela, Mexico. And so they kind of dug it because they very much are a group of sort of lonely men who tend to have family issues, a lot of broken families, and in a benign way you can look at them and say, well, they need a sort of safe space to be able to, non-judgmental space, but it became a self-fulfilling prophecy of, well, when Trumpism was added to it, it just became this vortex of Trumpism. And so, yeah, that's how I did. I just wouldn't leave. I just don't leave. I just keep coming back. I'm like, all right, mate, you good? And so that's it. So we were there from the election all the way through to January 6th. And that actually proved a little bit problematic because the FBI didn't believe that I was a journalist because I was there the night before in the garage. I was in the hotel room with Enrique the night before and then the night after. And so they had a real conceptual difficulty with me being a journalist and having developed such good access. It took them a while. Oh yeah, I got subpoenaed for everything. I mean, I'm having a problem at the moment because I was with the DA's office in Fulton County subsequently, and now Jim Jordan has launched another committee, so Jim Jordan is poking around trying to subpoena me for that footage too now. Yeah, but don't worry, Jim Jordan's not the sharpest knife in the drawer. And I think his goal is really to wait for Mike Johnson to make a mistake, so he's just pushing around and poking people until Mike Johnson makes a mistake because he wants to be speaker. And how long does anyone last in this type of administration? 90 days, 180 days? I think we should start a pool on Mike Johnson as the speaker. I'm at 90. I'll set the line there. Yeah, Brian's always got his finger on the indie pulse.
Yeah, but people, I'm curious as to what else you would recommend that people actually.
I mean, there's a couple of things out there that I sort of poke around with, like, and keep, like, sort of renewing for 7 days, like the Ankler. That's, but you know, it's a little bit of a, you know, how different is the news from Deadline, from Variety, from Hollywood Reporter? I think or Screen International. Like, I used to read Screen International the whole time, and now Screen International reports on itself because they have so little to report on. Like, so, you know, so you know, most of my sources really come from other people in the business, really, like, because, you know, I don't know, yeah, most of my sources come from there. I mean, I read the Ankler, and there's another one I read. He'll come to me in a second. No problem. Yeah.
So clearly, at the same time that there's also difficulties in getting projects off the ground and sold, you were finding a lot of material. Are you looking out there right now, seeing anything?
So at the moment, I'm trying to reverse engineer into what exists on streamers. So I'm working on a show. Netflix has a show on Manhunt. They did OJ. They did Boston Bomber. They've got this. So I was like reversed engineered into that, and then actually he's a Hudson Valley resident too. So I was like, why has no one done Chapo? And I spent so much time in Mexico, and then I started looking like no one's done the definitive film about the hunt for El Chapo. Remember, Chapo escaped from prison twice. Like once in a laundry cart, and then once he tunneled out of the equivalent of ADX Florence in Mexico. He tunneled out of Reclusorio Dos, which is like a maximum security prison, and he tunneled out of it. Well, he didn't tunnel out of it. He went out on a motorbike that they built on tracks, and after the DEA had caught him once, and then they went and caught him again. So I was like, who's told this story? And Ray Donovan is an Irish Puerto Rican man from the Bronx, lives in the Hudson Valley, is the guy that caught him twice. So that's what we're working on now. And he did it through his phones. And have you ever seen Sicario? Like, it's really not that. I mean, it's a little like Josh Brolin and the Learjet and the flying around is a little crazy. But like, when the U.S. government comes for you, the U.S. government is coming for you. And it's, you know, you're talking about that scale of the investigation to find Chapo. You had NSA, you had U.S. Marshals, you had FBI, and it was all run through this group called Special Operations Division, which is a DOJ initiative where they brought 22 federal agencies together, and Ray ran that. So Ray is the man.
Thank you, Nick.
No problem, pleasure.
Thank you again, Nick. So that was great, and not too much of a downer. We were talking about it before. I don't want to no doom and gloom, please. So I don't think it was that doom and gloom.
Survive at the moment. It's survive until we can thrive.
Survive until we can thrive. Okay, that's a good motto. So thanks again, Nick. And now we're gonna bring Alex and Cara. Alex and Cara are the owners of this incredible establishment. So, again, thank you for hosting. And Alex and Cara are going to talk about all of all of this and how you do it. So without further ado, thanks again.
Thank you.
Thank you, Myra.
And thank you, Nick.
And thanks, Nick. Wow. Hello. Welcome. I love seeing the building full. This is awesome.
We've never seen it quite like this before.
My name's Kara Vetter. I'm president of Cobalt Stages, and this is my partner, Alex, our effects guru, Mr. Extraordinaire. We're so happy to be hosting this today. Thank you for including us in this lovely community event. And yeah,
Thank you.
yeah. And let's hear it for the tax credit up here. Let's hear it for upstate. 40 to 45%. I mean, who wouldn't want to get that? I think we're crushing the rest of the nation right now. So it's pretty amazing, especially after all that we've experienced in film, not to go doom and gloom, but it was a little poopy. It has been a little poopy for quite some time. And for those of us that are still standing, it's remarkable, and yay,
Yes.
all of us.
So Nick mentioned some of the issues and what the landscape is looking like, and we faced this 8 or 10 years ago, coming from commercials, and we wanted to come up with solutions, because you can't build a business on saying, well, you can't do that, or we can't do that, or it can't be done. That's not a business model, that's an exit strategy. So, so what?
So we have a really exciting,
Yeah.
something to show you today. This,
Yeah.
the technology that's pretty much taken our industry by storm. It's revolutionizing the way movies and shows are made, really allowing for more control, faster production time, and the ability to produce visually stunning content without the challenges of traditional filmmaking.
New challenges,
New challenges,
but they're more affordable
yeah.
in most cases, and a hybrid solution sometimes is the best solution.
So virtual production, I'm sure that you all know by now, especially if you follow our marketing at all, but Alex and I were the first to bring virtual production to the East Coast in 2015, about 10 years ago. We brought it here and would just talk to anybody who would listen, basically.
It's very difficult to introduce a new technology to an established group, because people's knee-jerk reaction is, well, this is how we've always done it and it works. Why try something different? So,
But necessity is the mother of invention, I suppose.
But being also early into any kind of endeavor, there's a lot of tire kicking, there's a lot of questions. You're making the market, not just selling a service. So it was challenging.
And Alex, you've been on the forefront of the effects community for quite some time. Before we got into virtual production, he invented the first array camera in the US, which he later sold the intellectual property to the movie The Matrix. You may have heard of it.
Yeah. I wish I had those brain cells back. That was very, very challenging. We could have a Q&A about that effect later.
So everybody knows the bullet time effect. Just to be clear, the whole Keanu Reeves sort of dodging the bullet type thing. Yep, that was big A over here.
Yeah. Well, not just me. It was a lot of people putting a lot of brain cells and lots of money on the table to come up with something that's never been done. My inspiration was a book called The Fermata, Nicholson Baker. I don't recommend it to everyone, but it's an interesting read. It hypothesizes what it would look like and feel like if you could stop time and move around in frozen time. And, you know, being the tinkerer, it caught my imagination and my wallet.
And that's what the array camera did, was it warped time during a camera move. So needless to say, the gears are always turning over here at Cobalt. We're always sort of thinking about what's the next best thing for cinema. Alex is a true artist inventor, and well, I'm kind of a classic artist entrepreneur. So it's been pretty interesting and a powerful partnership
think
over
so.
here at
Yeah.
Cobalt. So anyway, before getting into the nitty-gritty of virtual production, we really just want to say thank you. A couple thank yous, maybe a lot of them. Thank you to all of you for showing up, and your
Bravo.
passion for filmmaking is inspiring. We all keep showing up, don't we? Thank you, Mayra and Teresa, for including us. Thank you. This is lovely. Thank you to our key players, Cobalt's folks, Chloe Vetter, founding member of Cobalt, that helps Alex and I run the show day in and day out. Jeff Burns, back behind all those monitors and the virtual production system, he's our engineer. Talk about a brain bench over there. Byron Snyder on sound. Chloe again doing the live stream. Kevin Hartman, not sure where you
Where
are,
are you?
Mr.
Oh,
TV
there he
Tech.
is.
There you go.
Neighbor, friend, thank you so much for everything.
All the audio support and the monitors, some of the monitors, the large ones, thank you.
The nice one.
The nice ones. Our amazing chef, James Turner, who's prepared quite a lovely spread over there. Thank you, James. And his trusty assistant, Jade. So thank you there. And our awesome interns who are now turning into PAs, Adel, Caitlin, Peter, Rebecca, and Matthew. Where are you? Raise your hands. All right.
Can I make a quick?
Sure, sure.
So the owner of I hate this. The owner of a black Subaru Ascent license, CUP 4524. You have to move your car, but we could move it right to the front. I think it's blocking someone that isn't part of our group. How's that? Welcome. Okay, where are we? So do you want to play a little demo so we could?
Yeah,
it
before
might
we
be
even
the-
start blabbing about a definition here, we shot a demo that I think kind of says it all. It was for one of our clients, LG, and we shot it right here, and it was something that we put together, one prep day, one shoot, and I'm telling you, the shoot day was a half day. We were all kind of looking at each other saying, now what do we do? So
what you're about to see was straight out of that equipment. So there was no post-production involved. It's called Final Pixel. We finished in HD because we needed to get it to our clients quickly, and sometimes clients don't have the bandwidth to deal with big files. So let's play LG. Aha. We shot this here. There's so many things to talk about. I'm sure everyone could relate how happy you are when you're vacuuming.
Oh, yeah.
So she goes from one room to another room, vacuums under furniture, picks up garbage that doesn't belong. Happy, happy. Then she goes into the bathroom. Picks up a towel, throws it in a little table in the back, goes back in the living room. This was shot wide like this because of a client need. They were going to sell something like this. They needed a wide shot demonstrated. And as quick as that, she's done, puts it back in the charger. Just proud of her vacuuming. So no big deal, right? So let's see how we did this. So we'll rewind the film, and then you'll see how it was shot. Yeah?
Yes.
Okay, this is what it was. So our biggest expense, our biggest expense was flooring from Home Depot. So as Nick mentioned earlier, you don't need a big green screen. all you have to do is cover your live action. So we could have even done with even a smaller screen. Yes, there's no bathroom. You couldn't get those appliances. If you had a shoot and you were art department next week, you can go to the Kingston bath supply and they'll say, oh yeah, 6, 8 weeks we can have that tub for you. Yeah, there's no bedroom either. There's lighting and off the green screen with all garbage matted out. There's no vanity. The towel was on a pigeon on a stand.
Now it makes sense why Alex was talking about towels and trash and things like that.
Yeah, so we can pause. That's basically the story. Literally, this cost us a couple $1,000s. The biggest expense was flooring from Home Depot. We tried to suggest different floors because we're selling a vacuum cleaner for clients.
So basically, virtual production is a methodology where it integrates the computer-generated background with live action. So that was our little example, and we'll show you several more later today. So anyway, these components were shot live, and in real time, you're seeing your composite as you're shooting. So that's really interesting.
It's kind of what you see on the screen now. We're rendering a asset, a CG asset, and if Adil moves the camera, the background will move in perspective to the camera. It's kind of like a Wii, but instead of a paddle, the telemetry is on the camera itself. So the camera could be on a dolly, a crane, a jib, handheld, Steadicam, doesn't matter.
And our virtual production system handles not only the green screen, but it also handles LED volumes. And sometimes it's even smart and practical to use both on the same shoot, and we can talk about that a little later too.
A lot of people think that virtual production means LED volumes. They're two completely different things. One is a tool and the other one is a methodology, a concept. So virtual production doesn't have to be in a volume. It could be on any color screen or LED. And again, in Q&A, we'll talk about pros and cons because there's significant pros and real limitations to both technologies.
So we talked a little bit about why we got into virtual, so I don't want to continue with that, but as leaders in the effects world, we have a long history of that, and
Yeah, well,
it was all about when the budgets were being cut in half.
Yeah, we experienced the same thing Nick was saying.
Back in 2015, 16, I think is when it really started.
Yeah.
And
so our clients would have half the money to do more stuff. It used to be you shoot a 30-second spot and you do a 15-second lift or something like that. And then all of a sudden, we had to support every possible social media platform at every possible aspect ratio, and maybe a behind-the-scenes video, and then maybe some sales thing, and how about some stills? And while we're there, let's do this and that and the other thing for half the amount of money. You can't say no. You have to come up with a solution.
So that's where we got into virtual production and cost containment. We're a by producers, for producers soundstage here. And we don't want you to spend needless money on things that you don't need to. So we're going to break it down about all the different areas where you really can save some significant change.
Can I interrupt?
Please do.
Since there's so many different people from different walks of the film industry here, it's like feeling the elephant. You know, you feel the trunk, you feel the tail, you feel, it's. So not everything applies, but I think we have to cover all of these things so that you get and then we can fill you in more detail in the Q&A.
So don't spend needless money on locations.
So you go to look, Nick's life experience is significantly different than non-documentary filmmakers' experience. But the location scouting, the permitting, the cops, the person who's going to figure out the parking map, all integral parts. This is like not trivial. And then the homeowners association. We've all dealt with this, and it's massive, and we take it for granted. That's what location require, but there's solutions outside of the traditional.
Sometimes it does make sense to shoot on location, and we can also talk about that later too. Oftentimes, when we read scripts, it's more like a hybrid model that's the best.
Yeah.
Some things are much better shot practically, but lots of things are much better shot virtually.
Yeah. One other
Yeah.
aside. People come up to Upstate for a number of reasons. One is that it's a wonderful community, and it's very energetic, and it's very smart, and the tax incentive really brings that up higher. But you know, we have the spooky forests and the barns and the waterfalls and the mountains and the rivers and the bridges and like that. But say you also needed a subway station, or you needed a balcony overlooking Rome for a scene. So there's a bell curve of benefit. You know, if it's a simple, cheap set, it makes sense to build a simple, cheap set. And if it's like Seinfeld forever running, then it makes sense to just have it. But in the sweet spot of that bell curve, there's massive reasons to consider a new production modality. Sorry.
And if you don't have a ton of locations, you're also saving on company moves. Why do you have to spend that excess?
Yeah, so you're on location. How many locations does the AD schedule for you? 3, maybe? So how much of your time is unloading grip trucks, camera trucks, lighting trucks, art department, vanity, wardrobe, all that stuff, and then you spend an hour or two shooting, then you load all the stuff back in the truck, drive, unload, do this, rinse, repeat. You know, you do it again and you do it again, and you're chasing the sun. Okay.
Okay.
Okay, sorry.
Right. So, yeah, and why spend excessive money on travel for your cast and crew? I mean, I know I like to take a good trip too, but if I'm the one that's footing the bill for like a whole enchilada, you know, it's a little painful.
Yeah.
We just shot 2 episodes of a series called Hackerland right here. We produced and
Co-directed.
Yeah, we directed that one together. It was fun. We shot 9 different environments around the world in 3 days. We
So
were
we
in
had-
Buenos Aires,
Yeah, Buenos Aires, Manila,
Frankfurt.
Chicago, and then a computer system that monitors hackers, and then the hacker lair. So there were 9 interiors and exteriors with different colorations, looks and feels, stuff like this. This was, other than the principal characters and some of their haptically touched props, it's all CG. All of that is CG. There were no monitors. I mean, we had a couple of monitors that we added, matrixy kind of, numbers and stuff. And then the hacker layer, we had cars going outside, and this is practical, and this is practical, and then the background and the exterior.
Much of the
is all-
propping ends up being practical. It's it really sells the magic trick when your actors are I mean, obviously they're needing to engage in their environment, and just like when the girl picked up the trash and tossed it in the trash can that looked like it was part of
Or
the
the towel,
background,
yeah.
or the towel. That's what it sells it.
The heavy lifting here is, again, that's aside, is lighting and grip, because what you need to do to be successful here is not only integrate the elements cleverly and use magic tricks, as it were, to sell the veracity of the situation, but lighting the foreground so that it matches to the background. Actually, it's not foreground and background. The way this works is the person could be inside a virtual volume, inside an environment. It doesn't have to be like the weatherman pointing to what's behind him. There could be virtual props or structures in front of and behind your talent.
But basically, anything that your actors touch, it's good to have that being practical.
Yep. So how long did this all take? 9 environments?
3 days.
Yeah.
3 days of shooting.
Yeah.
Prep is definitely a little bit heavier with virtual, and we'll get into that in a minute. But so we just wrapped on a really cool project. We shot Jimmy Fallon's Christmas Spectacular this year for NBC and had the best time. The cast was incredible. Like 15 of his fabulous celebrity friends, Dolly Parton, like Miss Christmas, you know.
The tech by TV Tech, Kevin, raise your hand, Kevin.
Kevin
And
helped us on that
our
as well,
engineer,
Jeff.
our engineer,
We couldn't have
Jeff
done it without
Burns,
these guys.
couldn't have done it without them. But we had to take the show on the road because if an A-lister gives you an hour and a half, 2 hours, they're not going to travel up to Woodstock to shoot. And you're cycling about a dozen or 15 celebrities through. We had to go to them. So we set up this facility with not one but 3 tracked cameras. So that means that the 3 cameras, like a 3-camera studio shoot, 2 on dollies, 1 on a crane, all live composited.
All
It was
with their
like amazing.
own
It was amazing.
Virtual
So,
production
you
system
wanna-
talking to each other.
do you want to show?
All in real time. So like that, it was very heady, I have to say.
Is this where we show it, or do you want to just move on?
Well, yeah, I mean, I wanted to keep going a little bit on
Okay.
don't spend needless money on weather delays. There aren't too many thunderstorms right here in this building.
And daylight isn't an issue.
No.
Oh, we have.
We have, yes,
Oh,
we
oh,
did.
yeah,
We
yeah,
did.
yes,
we
we
did
did.
do a rain effect for sure. Thank
That's
you.
a very interesting thing because that was, in a sense, virtual. We used an older technology called rear screen projection to create a moving background seen from the passenger seat of a car looking towards the driver, and the car is bouncing in a thunderous rainstorm right here. So you guys probably know this. You build a containment tank, wind machines, and some rain towers. It's not that complex. Okay.
And don't spend excessive money on equipment orders.
Okay.
This is a good one.
This is one of my faves. So sometimes you end up limiting the scope and scale of your context because it's unaffordable. So you see this a lot in movies of the week where the only 2 lenses they use is a 50 and a 75, and they left the dolly on the truck and it's all locked off cameras and stuff like that. With virtual production, you're not lighting these gigantic backgrounds. If you need a cathedral, you don't have to cut to a close-up of a person sitting in a pew with some candles in the back. You can see the whole church. So you don't have to light the church. The church is lit. All you're doing is lighting a bench or 2. That's all you need. If you have a scene of someone overlooking Malibu Beach well, that's a bad example.
Okay. Next example.
Yeah, okay, next.
We'll show you some castles and cathedrals later on our assets that we'll pull up. It'll be pretty evident what we're talking about here. Anyway, don't spend excessive money on time. When
Okay.
you're shooting with virtual, everything kind of moves along a little bit quicker. Let's talk about just reverse angles.
Yeah, so say you guys are the camera and you're shooting the 2 of us, and now it's time, for some reason, you need a point of view shot over our shoulder looking that way. Okay, can everyone move that way and move this way, and let's move the lights and move the grip and move the vanity and move craft service and let's get the wild wall in, et cetera, et cetera. Jeff can turn the set in
With a
an
mouse.
instant. And then what we do is we face that way, we face the same way, flip the key, you're good to go. Yes, it's a little bit more nuanced than that, but basically, filmmakers, you know that, a reverse, you really think about it, do I really need that shot because it's gonna take 45 minutes to move everyone so we have a clean background.
And using virtual, it's not a big deal. So crew members can also make adjustments to the virtual set. Let's say you want like a window. All of a sudden you need a window. Your art director needs a window. And instead of going out and shopping for a window at Home Depot, Jeff pulls one up on the internet and taps the screen.
Yeah, we have spare parts. So a good example would be like a Barton Fink kind of movie where the Coen brothers put cameras into odd places, like say 30 feet above a bathroom sink with the water swirling down. I think that was the scene, and the camera dives in. Well, unless you have a location that has a 30-foot ceiling in the bathroom, you're a little out of luck. But in Unreal, there's a function called editable transforms that also exists in Maya and Blender, that you can click on objects, scale them, rotate them, disappear them non-destructively, so that you can take the ceiling away from the bathroom so you can get up high. Or say you have a shot in a mirror and you need a long lens so that the reflection isn't tiny compared to the foreground person. You need to go back 15 feet with a 135 millimeter lens or something like that. In virtual world, that's easy. You just put the camera where you want it and you get rid of all the stuff that's in your way. It's easy.
And with virtual, you can shoot anywhere you can imagine. You can create worlds. You can shoot on Mars. You're not limited to physical locations. You're not dealing with weather conditions. You've got the access to the props that are special order, like he said.
Oh yeah, like
What about
the bathroom in the LG thing? You couldn't get that tomorrow or for next week. Impossible. You know, you can get anything. You can get a poke and pole kitchen, but not by next week. And then you can't return it, and it's forget it. It's like we all live this. It's a real problem that needs a solution.
So let's talk about workflows.
Okay.
So there's two basic workflows. The traditional workflow where you're doing your post and post. Green screen, blue screen, that's great for that. So it can totally be done if you are really a traditionalist and you're not ready to jump in and do final pixel. Our first couple projects, that's what we did, and now we really love doing final pixel for a number of reasons.
Yeah, but there's pros and cons. You know, like in film production, there's no solutions, but there's trade-offs or there's compromises somehow. So everything has a benefit, and it also, with that benefit comes some cost, some downside. Final pixel is great, but it presumes that your CG is ready to go because what you see is what you get. The more traditional way, and let me just stop. Our box back there, this hybrid box, is not one or the other. We shoot all the elements or record all the elements, and you should absolutely demand that. The key, the fill, the rendered background, the live camera, so that if you have a scene and you want to change it, and let's say it's a final pixel composite, but that artwork there isn't cleared. Happens. It's happened to probably all of us at some point. So we have a cease and desist order because we didn't get permission for a Lacoste shirt or a brand of Weber grill, by the way, is the worst. Been there, done that. So anyway, so you have two workflows. You have the traditional post where you do all of your compositing and rendering and stuff like that in post, And then
Well,
you
with
can,
Final Pixel, you walk out literally with a jump drive. It's definitely heavier in pre-production. You have to be a little bit more buttoned up. You've got to work with your CG artists well ahead of time. But you also have better cost control if you decide to do it that way. You've spent your post-production money in pre. A lot of post is happening in prep and on the shoot. So,
but if you really think about it, I would say all of us would agree that real good prep is the key to success in any kind of production. It's no different here, except more heavy lifting is done in prep.
so yes, the production pipeline has changed.
Yep.
And then last but not least, what about the environmental benefits?
Yep.
As you could see with our LG project, we were not gathering up walls of sets and dragging it to the dumpster. There was very little of that.
There were no walls. We weren't burning fuel like mad. We weren't skinning flats and buying Luan and none of that. That set was built from found objects here in a day for under $250, $300. That was what the entire cost of the virtual set. Manpower not included. You know, some assembly required.
Yep.
Yeah.
So definitely less waste.
Yep.
And then when you do build your CG environments, you don't have to build it from scratch. Phew.
Okay. So
you don't have to hire like all the teams of CG artists that you see rolling at the end of the films. If you're not ready for that kind of a thing, you can simply go on to Turbo Squid or Unreal Marketplace or Sans Factory. What else is there?
those are three, and again in the Q&A, we'll look at some of these examples. But this is Turbo Squid. So someone yell out, where do we want to shoot? A boat, a plane, a train, living room, bathroom?
Who has a background where you're like going, I don't know how I'm going to do it? Who has, what is it?
A panic room.
room.
I don't know exactly what that would be, but the panic room is right around
Deserts,
here right
we
now.
actually are going to show you a desert in a minute.
Yeah, we might not find a panic room. Let's see what we can
What's
find.
another name for a panic room, though?
Okay, let's scroll a little bit. Let's see if there's anything here. How about
Like a jail cell or something? I don't know. Bomb shelter.
bomb
That's
shelter?
cool.
Let's try bomb shelter.
Let's try it.
Aha. A Soviet bunker.
Okay.
Oh, here, that's good. That's a good one. This set will cost you $9. This will cost you $9. You can't get a breakfast sandwich for $9. This shows you, oh, and you're not buying a 2D image. You're buying a model. For all of you who made boats and planes as a kid, you're buying that. You're buying a model that you could see from any angle, with any lens, from any place, underneath it, above it, on the side. Let's find another asset.
You want to check out castles? I always like
Castles.
seeing castles.
There
Yeah.
might be more castles than bomb shelters. Okay. How about the expensive one? Any of the expensive ones? Okay. You can buy this.
It is expensive for this $891, which is really nothing when you're talking about a castle, though. Come on.
Okay. So you can put your actor and your lens any place in this volume, any place in this room. Someone could be walking down the stairs. Someone could be walking behind this architectural piece or coming up these stairs. Show us another. Kids could be running down the stairs.
Sound
What
of
would you
Music
do? Well,
style.
what you would do is build a green staircase that matches the rise and run of the stairs. What do you do if someone has to touch something? Well, we talked about editable transforms. You get rid of the door and you rent a door or a door handle or a part of a door, and integrate it into this set. So you don't have to build a ton of stuff. And this is not bleeding edge technology. This is our second system in 8 years.
Yeah, so let's see how it works.
Yeah.
You guys ready to see how we do it? How it works?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, me too.
Okay.
Okay, well, let's see. Oh, a scan. Before we leave this, let's just look at more assets. Can we
They
go
don't wanna do
to
that.
Scans Factory? This is yet again another sidestep. There's many ways to create backgrounds. I'm not going to make a rat joke. Okay. These are all created in a computer. You could buy this for a couple of $100. You can add atmospherics. You can add lighting effects. It could be lit to be a Japanese horror movie, or it could be lit as film noir. It could be daytime, nighttime. You can animate things. It's easy. It's just different. It's a different skill set. But 20 years ago, no one knew what a DIT did, so we had loaders. You could bend stuff. It's not magic. It's just a new platform to create content.
Yeah.
Can you find a walkthrough of like Rome? Is that possible? So we're bidding, or we're in prep on a job that takes place in 1914 Paris. That doesn't exist. It doesn't exist anywhere in the world. And so this is a combination of photogrammetry, planoptic modeling, LiDAR scanning, lots of techniques. You don't care how the sausage is made. You can buy this for $500. And not with these camera moves. You move the camera and you get this result. Are we all clear on that? This is just a look-see. And it could be nighttime. It could be raining. But this is as photorealistic as it gets. Someone could be, a ghost could be running through the colonnade. Cars, you can get real rich textures. It's not just spaceships and shiny things. Okay, what do you want to do next?
Okay, well, show us how it works.
Okay, so how do we do that? I don't know how we do that. I forget.
Now's not the right time, Alex.
Okay, so let me show you a little bit of the technology. And this is a little bit complicated for everyone to see, but let me just, you hold this, I'll hold this. Yes, old school Alex knows how to use a geared head. So there's this device here that looks up at the ceiling. The ceiling has stars. The stars work like when you're driving at night and you flash your high beams and it says exit 37 or whatever it says, that lights up. But the car next to you doesn't see that light hitting that sign because it's retroreflective. It comes back to the light source. So I actually have a flashlight. Hang on. Audience participation card. Here we go. So pass this around and put this on your forehead and look up at the ceiling. So all those stars light up like crazy. And as they light up, I don't see the effect of that light. So there's these little lights. Hang on. Let's see what falls off. You won't be able to see. So after in the Q&A, we'll take a look. There's a camera and there's a bunch of little infrared lights. So.
Well, we can show. Can we show it with camera?
Oh yeah, can you go up there and look at
Top down.
top down?
Exactly.
That's it.
Yeah, there we go.
There we go. That's the
So
meat of it.
that's the camera that is reading the stars and telling us where we are in space.
And it sends, that information is sent through this purple umbilicus to Jeff. And then there's a computer with a gyroscope, and the gyroscope basically, this. And that gyroscope basically informs via the data stream, excuse me, pan, tilt, and roll. And then lastly, there's an encoder right here, and this encoder senses the camera, the lenses, zoom and focus. So all of that data is being sent to Jeff, and then Jeff takes that data, hits many, many, many buttons, and using that, if I move the camera that way, the scenery changes. So Jeff, can you go, let me operate this thing. You hold that. Okay. So don't let me run over the umbilicus, because that'll come to the demo will come to a tragic end. Okay. I'm coming to you, Matt. Hey, Peter, can you give us a hand with this umbilicus real quick? Notice that how good the tracking is. She's not drifting. Her feet, the chair is solidly on the cobblestone. And we can tweak this until it's just absolutely perfect. But watch what happens with the perspective of the background. I'm going to come way over to you. So basically, this is just a simple demonstration of the fact that the camera drives the CG and other video assets. You can have multiple systems like this shooting simultaneously. And again, Jeff can record a composite, the key, the fill, the matte, the rendered background, all of the elements that go into a traditional post solution, or a final pixel composite if you're happy with the CG.
And so you literally see this composite when you're shooting on set with virtual.
You look good in
Thank
Paris.
you.
Okay, so just think about this for a second.
How?
Green screen, everyone says, oh, that's old school. LED, I want an LED wall. If this asset were on an LED wall, Kara would have to be stuck horizontally on the wall. Like, how could she stand on a wall? An LED wall, you could use something like this as a background, but then you'd have to build the floor that she's standing on. And to obviate that, you shoot on green screen, or blue screen, or yellow screen. It doesn't matter, so long as that color is absent in the rest of the composition.
Yeah, that's one of the pros of green screen versus LED walls.
We can get into the nuances later. People sometimes, not everyone cares how this is done exactly.
LED walls have a lot of flash and everybody loves it. We love them too. I mean, they are really like, wow, spectacular in a room. But the reality is you don't need to shoot on LED and spend the LED kind of money unless you have a lot of reflections, like wardrobe with reflections
Cars.
or cars.
Spacemen in aluminum foil outfits. Any camera, any professional camera, any lens works. There's benefits to considering using what we have because it's plug and play. If you bring a camera, we have to build stuff like this and then carefully calibrate where this is compared to where the sensor of the camera is. Same thing with the lenses. We want all the lens data to be codified so it mixes and blends the virtual with the real as seamlessly as possible.
So do you want to play some of our examples?
Yeah, I think
Some
so, right? I
things-
mean, you get the idea. Maybe Q&A will come up with, more nuanced kind of things. Okay, let's play the.
Thank you.
Oh,
Thank you. Thanks.
This wasn't too long. Are we okay time-wise? Somebody? I guess. No one.
Do you guys
no-
want to see a little
Yeah.
bit of the NBC?
Yeah, yeah.
I was kind of curious about like atmospheric effects, like if you wanted to include fog, would that be more practical, or could you actually?
That's a great question. Sometimes it's a hybrid, and you can imagine that shooting fog against green screen is not the smartest idea. So depending on what the set is, it takes a little bit of experience to come up with the best way. But we'll show you some. There's one scene that Jeff can pull up that has fog and water effects.
Really quick, we have two rows of mics, like one on this side for our audience members, so I have like one here, but we'll bring them to you if you get the
Cool.
one over here.
Okay. Yes, sir. Yeah, here comes the microphone.
It's way fun.
Question from the sound department. So when you did your LG video, there were static objects, a towel on a C-stand or whatever. They were mapped over with appliances and furniture. So the luxury of a green screen is you can get your boom in right over the actors and mat it out. Is there a better or worse to have a chroma-colored boom, or does it not matter anymore? And it doesn't. You can just have it's just not static. It's not static. It's not mapped into your thing. It's a moving
I had
object.
that question with Jonathan, remember?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's a good question, and I don't have one answer. Story of my life. It depends. If you could garbage mat out, if someone is leaning down and the boom comes down, and then they stand back up, you'd have to move the garbage mat to so that you don't cut their head off when they stand up. So I would say keeping the mic at a relatively safe distance is good, but I don't think a green microphone.
They make chroma key sleeves for the
Yeah,
boom
I don't-
and green wind.
Jeff, have you ever used a chroma key? I'm sorry? I've used them, they work. They work? It really only gives you a little bit of room. Uh-huh.
Yeah.
The traveling mat that is created in the reel that moves with the camera.
Uh-huh.
So you can tilt the camera off the green screen and have a virtual garbage mat that's created.
Uh-huh. Understood. So a more ubiquitous thing would be if we were in Paris right now and we could lower the camera, we could be looking at the ceiling, and if he made a garbage mat, he could literally see the ceiling, but on video it would be Paris.
Yeah, my underlying question is if it when it's locked off, we can get a plate shot in a real location.
Yes.
And then put that in there, but you've got a camera that can move around
Yes.
and keep mapping with the environment, and so that's an amazing amount
That's
of freedom to
kind of huge.
get that mic in close, and
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm excited.
And
Yeah, that's great.
Do you want to talk about pan and scan with backplates?
Yes. So if you're shooting something live, it takes no time at all to grab your camera, to take your iPhone out and shoot a backplate, just like was just mentioned a moment ago. And then later, if it's a 4K or a 6K plate, you can do pan and scans of that and use that for your background. So not everything has to be made whole cloth from scratch. And that's why we were showing asset repositories like TurboSquid and Scans Factory and Evermotion and Fab. There are amazing artists worldwide who post their stuff up to these repositories, and they'll sell you royalty-free a kitchen for $100. You can't rent the stove for $100.
There's a
But-
question over there, Alex.
Yes.
Hi there.
Hi.
My question has to do with how do art directors and production designers fit into this world of virtual production, especially on films that rely heavily on that aspect, like very designed films like Almodovar or something like that?
Great question. So it's tricky. You still need a production designer because it's not like the movers are designing your film. And best practice would be for that production designer to get comfortable and familiar with a browser and go to these sites. And what Kara and I have done for one of our advertising clients, he needed 3 kitchens, and they were very specific. It was an elderly mother's kitchen, the young daughter's first apartment kitchen, and a celebrity chef's kitchen. We'll show you an example. So it was heavily art directed for age appropriateness, starter apartment,
Demographics,
stuff like
all of that.
We bought about 10 or 12 kitchens from TurboSquid, and I don't think we spent $100 a kitchen. I know we didn't spend $100 a kitchen. And it was like a jackalope. We'll take that back wall, those set of appliances, those light fixtures, those windows.
I like the natural lighting in this one.
Yeah, okay, so let's go with that because that'll motivate the lighting. So your production designer, it's almost laughable because no one has unlimited money to do anything. Well, 3 people maybe, but okay. We know, we can think of the 3. So the best practice is to find available assets that you could buy for tens of dollars or hundreds of dollars and not
then
start
add
out.
to them.
add
We
to
were
them.
about to get to a part where we were going to show you websites that have textures, like cobblestone streets and many different kinds of cobblestone streets, or textures of fabrics on sofas, and it's unlimited.
Or
It's pretty crazy.
stucco on walls and stuff like that. So it does require a little bit of learning and understanding from the production designer's perspective. We just had,
I think it's called textures.com. I know we don't have time to go to it, but right, Caitlin?
Yes.
Textures.com? Yeah.
We'll share all of this with you because we want you to leave empowered, not confused or scratching your heads. Why did I spend, other than the food? Thank you again for the food, guys.
We have about 5 more minutes for questions.
Okay, questions.
Over here, Alex?
Yes.
No, over here. I see you. In the black shirt. Is that all
Okay.
right? And then we'll come back to you in
We'll
1
come back.
second?
Yes, sir.
Sorry. I'll be back.
I just had a question about handheld aesthetic. If there's any way to rig this in a way that you can move, because it's a lot of
Yes.
umbilicals and
Yeah.
cables.
The
and things like
answer
that.
is yes, but it makes a Steadicam operator's life,
Difficult.
probably it cuts a few years off your life. It's not, you don't need everything that's on this camera, but and they've now come up a year ago with a smaller star tracker incorporating the computer as well, right, Jeff? It's a quarter the size of this. So, but we do
like to use
studio work.
jibs.
Yeah. So
Can you render like a depth of field, but based around the
Absolutely.
lenses that you've decided to use?
Yes.
Or build that in?
independent of the iris setting of your camera, watch the monitor, and Jeff can show us what it would look like if, say, we put up a longer lens and we wanted the background to be soft, or softer,
Awesome.
or sharper. And you could also rack focus. So say, for example, this was a cottage in the woods, and you were the camera. You could focus on the exterior wall of this cottage, move into the cottage and find us, and then frame up a window on the back wall and look at the scenery. So you can focus from practical to virtual to practical to virtual easily.
Amazing, thank you.
And then over
Sure.
here.
Hi.
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 First, thanks for hosting us here.
Thank you. Thanks for
Pleasure.
coming.
If I can ask from a crew perspective, so on one hand, I know there's a lot of tools and things have been democratized in a way, like Blender is free, Unreal Engine is free, and there's so much to learn there. Each of those software is their own rabbit holes. And a lot of the off-the-shelf assets that you mentioned are very affordable. Is there anything you could suggest or recommend for like DITs or DPs that want to integrate more virtual production into their workflows with the hardware that sometimes, I mean, the camera trackers, the LiDAR scanning, so all of those sort of hardware elements, like if you can suggest any way that there's
To
like
jump in.
hands-on or jumping in, yeah, on training for that, to add it to
Yeah.
the toolkit for.
Yeah, I would say finding
The LiDAR
someone-
scan on your cell phone is an easy one to do, like tonight.
yeah.
What is that app called, Alex?
Polycam. There's a-
Polycam.
There's an app. It's a couple of dollars. It's called Polycam. You can go into a space. Say, for example, you're location scouting, and you want that. Here's a better example. Say you're doing a scene in Grand Central because you need hundreds of people for some scene, but then it gets bombed, or the monster comes through the roof, or the train comes through the station. That's not going to happen practically. But you can LiDAR
Jeff has an
scan.
answer.
This is a LiDAR scan version of the Sesame Street set. So this is what a LiDAR scan looks like if you do it right. This was shot on green screen on a jib. But that set is the Sesame Street set that was totally LiDAR scanned and is, you know, you can move anywhere on that set and shoot it. And you can
Cool.
zoom in on it and you can get all the details like you were really there.
So depending on where you want to grab the monkey, you could learn about 3D. I use SketchUp. SketchUp is my favorite pre-visualization tool because the learning curve is really, really gentle. It never gets any better or worse. It's a sketch, but you can mimic lenses, camera moves, stuff like that. So that gets your foot in the door of 3D. The other thing is
And it tells you where on your CG environment that you might want to spend the dollars to develop, depending on how you want to shoot, the camera angles and whatnot. Because, you know, if you don't need to develop that entire street, then
Yeah.
maybe you don't want to do that.
just about every project that we've done in the last 15, 20 years, since it was owned by a company called Last Software, and then Google bought it, and now, damn, I forget the name, Trimble bought it. This was originally a DARPA-funded, here comes the rant.
Uh-oh.
Our tax dollars go to DARPA to develop stuff, and then they develop stuff, and then they frickin' sell it back to us, the people who funded the initial, so yeah. So anyway, SketchUp is a great tool. It's relatively affordable. There's lots of components available through CG Warehouse and stuff like that. I would say you can grab the elephant from there. You could spend time with Jeff Burns and give him your business card, so the next time he's on the Sesame Street set, you might want to visit. But Unreal makes a Photoshop or Premiere look like Etch-a-Sketch. It's the rabbit hole that you said, yeah. So I don't really know an easy way. You know, I'm a DP director, so I didn't come to it from a video engineering point of view. We came to it from solving a client problem. So it's a little different.
Mm-hmm.
Questions? Yes?
We're done. She
Yeah,
says we're
yeah.
done.
We're getting the hook. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you so very much. This was incredible. Thank you both. It was a tremendous treat. And thank you all. You don't have to leave. There's still a lot of food and drinks. So, and talk amongst yourselves, get to know each other, talk a little bit more with Alex and Kara if you like, and take photos in front of us, step and repeat, please, right over there. We have a photographer. Take your photos. We'll put them up online. Thank you all so much. Remember, if you want to join us for the Oscar party on March 2nd, there's still spots. It's on our website. And stay in touch with us, please. See you next event.